Very, very special guest. We have Veronica Carlson of the New York Athletic Club, currently in Colorado Springs, gearing up for the World Team Trials next week. I am very, very proud to introduce Veronica Carlson. Veronica, thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me, and thanks everybody for tuning in.
So how you been?
I've been good. Training, getting ready. It's going to be a big summer. We have our World Team Trials this week. A couple weeks later is the University World Games. And then we have our World Championships at the end of the summer.
And as you know, one of the big things that's going around the wrestling community is wrestling has been dropped from 2020. Where were you when you got the news?
I was actually at the airport. It was 5 a.m., and my team and I were traveling to Ukraine for a tournament. And my friend Helen Marula, she's like, Bonnie, wrestling's out of the Olympics. And I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, whatever. And then she's like, no, listen, wrestling's out of the Olympics. They voted it out of the Olympics. And instantly, it was like we were all in panic mode almost. It was something that wasn't even fathomable up until that point. So it just took all of us by shock. And since we were going to an international tournament, it was really great because the Ukraine Federation really took the initiative, and they made the event very geared towards keeping wrestling in the Olympics and making sure that everybody was aware of what was going on. And yeah.
As you know, female wrestling is not quote-unquote that popular. One person I had on, Matt Valenti, said that you guys, the female wrestling, are going to be pioneers because the IOC likes to look for diversity and a lot of other things that eluded me right now. But how do you feel about that?
I absolutely agree, because with one of the biggest things with the IOC is that they're really vying for equality in the sport. So if we want to get back into the Olympics, equality is going to be the number one factor that's going to help to bring wrestling back in. So that being said, women's wrestling really has to be embraced by the entire community of wrestling. Without everybody standing behind women's wrestling, wrestling as a whole is going to fall. So kind of some of the old-fashioned views, maybe saying that women shouldn't be on the mat, or thinking that, wrestling is a man's sport. Those views, they have to be put aside. People with those views have to put their pride aside right now, because to embrace women's wrestling is what's going to bring the sport back in. Because without that equality, then wrestling won't exist at all.
Wrestling has done so much for me personally as a man and an athlete. What have you gotten out of it?
Wow. When I started, I was so drawn to the sport. I just instantly fell in love with it. And, throughout the years, I've learned so much as a person. It's really helped to develop me as, a stand-up human being. I really think that wrestling provides something that not many other sports really can. I feel like it humbles, even the most cocky attitude, and it brings up maybe the most insecure person. Wrestling can do so many things for so many people, and it should be a sport for everybody. So, personally, I think that it really has just transformed my entire life. It's true when they say that it's not just a sport, it's a lifestyle. So, yeah, that's what it's done for me.
Also, a lot of people do not know, during the Olympics, women only have 4 weight classes compared to the World Championships, where you have 7. In freestyle, in men's freestyle, you also have 7. What are your thoughts about that? Having 3 weight classes dropped only for the Olympics.
Well, this last Olympics, it definitely was a game changer for a lot of people in the sport, because people had to switch weight classes around, and that created more depth in some weight classes, and it was where people might not have been as comfortable wrestling, because going from cutting normally 5 kilos to 10 or 11, it's a huge difference, and in pounds that would be over 20 pounds. So maybe the best wrestler didn't make the team, but the person that was best fit for that weight did. And I really think that with the IOC and FILA trying to create more equality, that's going to be one thing that has to change, is that the weight classes, like women are going to have an equal number of weight classes to the men. What meets a lot of opposition with that is that, people that are maybe more supportive of men's wrestling than women's wrestling say that taking weight classes away from the men to give to the women is, unfair. And I agree, it's not fair that we would have to take weight classes away from anyone, but in order to keep our sport and provide these opportunities for young wrestlers in the future and let them have a chance at the Olympics, providing that equality and equal number of weight classes for women and men is going to be essential to keeping our sport in the Olympics.
Also, FILA has changed the rules. Expand on how you feel about those new changes.
I think it's really great. I wrestled at the Niagara Falls Battle at the Falls a couple weeks ago, and that was my first experience wrestling under the new rules. And wrestling is so much more fun to watch now. There's so much action going on. People aren't afraid to get scored on, so they're willing to put themselves out there. But the biggest change with the rules is that it's longer, and the periods are longer, so they go from 2 to 3 minutes, and it's a cumulative score, so you can't just squeak by in a couple periods or hold on to a 1-point lead. You have to keep building on it because of that cumulative score. The other thing is the passivity calls. So if someone's not, if someone's kind of stalling or not wrestling, then they're gonna get called for passivity, and they're gonna have to score in order not to get a point deducted against them. So I think it's really awesome, promotes wrestling, and it plays so well into the American style of folk style that I think that the United States, if all goes well and we continue to be an Olympic sport, I think the United States is really going to grow to exceed under these new rules because, we're the country that grinds it out. Other countries focus more on technique, but I think the biggest thing with Americans and the American style is that there's always that heart and that push and just that grind that other countries don't always have. So I think it gives us as Americans an edge.
Do you believe that this is going to make wrestling viewer-friendly instead of trying to figure out who won this period, who scored last?
Yeah, I really do, especially with the cumulative score. I mean, it's easy to just see. I mean, whoever has more points is winning. It's not going to be, this person wins this period, this person wins this period, and then the score is tied 1-1, but, whoever scored the last point wins. There's no trying to figure that out anymore. It's right there in front of you, the score, just like any other sport. And I think not only more user-friendly, but it'll be more fun to watch just because, there's such high-scoring matches now. I remember in my past 2 matches, it was a 6-13 score and then a 9-0 score. So it's a lot bigger difference than, the normal, 1-1, 1-0, 1-3. So I think we're going to see some good things from these new rules.
A big concern around this being dropped is the youth, that a lot of innocent people are being punished because a lot of kids are saying, I don't want to wrestle anymore if I can't compete to be in the Olympics and win a gold medal for our country. How do you feel about that?
I mean, it's terrible that our sport's being threatened to the point where the youth feels that they don't have a future. But the thing is, in order to keep the sport alive, everybody has to band together and fight to keep it in the Olympics. Without people believing that we can stay in the Olympics and that, global support that we will prevail, then it's true, our sport will die. But if people are willing to withstand, the possibility and stand up and fight for, what we think is right, and that's our sport being put back into the Olympics, then I believe that that's what's going to carry us through, because it's different than other sports. We don't have a pro league. We don't have, multi-million-dollar contracts. The Olympics is it, and the IOC recognizes this. So if we just keep fighting and band together and keep pushing to be the best that we can be and to show that we really are, a changed sport under these new rules, and keep the focus on the youth, because really that's where wrestling's future lies, and that's where we need to keep the focus, because the most important thing is keeping kids involved. And it's really sad that such a great sport could potentially die out due to this, but I really have faith that wrestling's going to be put back in, and I think that anybody with a dream out there, it's not over till it's over, and we all need to stick together and stick with the sport and keep fighting for it.
We are now past stage 1, where it was about 7 or 8 sports, and now we are in one of the top 3, along with baseball and softball and squash and wrestling. What do we need to do as a country and come together as a world to make sure we get our sport back for 2020 and further games?
There's quite a few things you can do. If you go to keepwrestlingintheolympics.com, they have a weekly newsletter that they send out with all of the adjustments being made and differences and everything happening in the sport, and it shows all the advancements of us trying to get back into the Olympics. There are a lot of petitions going around, and every signature counts. Every single person can make a difference by signing these petitions to get wrestling back into the Olympics, and you can find those by going to keepwrestlingintheolympics.com, or there's a lot of stuff circulating on Facebook and Twitter, and also just keeping informed and tuning into wrestling events. I know that a lot of wrestling events are being broadcasted now on TV or the internet, and it's easier to find them because the people in charge, USA Wrestling and FILA, are trying to promote the sport more through the media, which was also a big thing from the IOC. So just being like an attentive viewer and fan is going to make a difference. And also continually talking, Facebooking, tweeting about wrestling, keeping wrestling like, current news is really what's going to keep us, give us that edge over squash or baseball and softball.
Another concern that I've come across through various other postings and stuff, what can one person do? Like, I'm just one person. Is really my signing up for email feed, or will my signature or tweet really do anything, me being one person?
Absolutely, because everybody that signs that is just one person. But when you have one person here and one person there and one person in all these different places coming together to sign this, it creates an army, and that's what we need to be. We need to be a global wrestling army to help get our sport back in. So as one person, yes, what you do really does make a difference. And, I mean, if you have special talents like Danny with his radio exposing wrestling, or maybe you write for your school newspaper or perform or anything like that, and you want to give wrestling a little mention, it's going to help even more just by continually keeping wrestling, in the news, keeping people informed about it, and letting people know that the people of wrestling do care, and we really want our sport back in the Olympics, and to us it's vital. So one person does make a difference. Your signature does make a difference.
We have an email coming in from Rebecca out of Montana. She says, I just want to shout out to you, Veronica. I love following you, and you are an inspiration to her, because apparently she is a youth wrestler trying to live out her dream and live the dream of being a female wrestler.
Wow, that's so sweet of you. I really hope that, you accomplish all your dreams. And anytime that